Board of Adjustment, Monday, April 17th, 2023. Okay. Call the meeting to order.
Variance number 2023-VAR001 for Mr. Bruce Barker. First thing I'm going to do is introduce myself. I'm Don Corcoran, been here for 1,000 years. And I know everybody else except the two gentlemen in the corners here.
Will Hamlin.
Will Hamlin. Okay. Now,
Craig Sprademan.
Streetman.
Sprademan.
Oh, yeah, so you're a local joker too, like me.
No, I moved here 5 years ago.
Yeah, well,
Purchased
that's
the property above.
Yeah, I know you're been here. Okay. The reason for the meeting is to look over this variance for Bruce. And I've looked it over. I'm hoping that the rest of the members have looked it over and looked at the property. Is that affirmative with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'll turn it over to whoever wants to take over here.
Turn it over to Will.
Good evening, board. I'm Will Hamlin. I'm doing consulting with the city on the staff report and with the permitting documents. Variance is to vary from the setback requirements for a steep slopes critical area. The applicant submitted a geotechnical report, which should have came with your guys's packet. You guys were all sent a staff report and some supporting documents, and I'm gonna put those into the record without reading it because nobody wants to have me sit here and read stuff. The location of the property is 203 Pacific Avenue. The zoning district is the neighborhood district. Public comment was sent out March 10th on 2023, and it was also put in the paper as well. After reviewing the recommendations from the engineers as well as the geotechnical report submitted by Mud Bay Geotechnical Services, the city would make the following recommendations. Move to adopt the findings of fact for case 2023 VAR001 as presented in the staff report, and to move to adopt the conclusions and approve case 2023 VAR001 as conditioned. If you guys have questions for me, this should be a good one.
I don't have any questions, but we got a couple gentlemen from the public. You were in here first. You have something you want to do?
Oh, yeah. First of all, let me state, everybody who's looked at that property has had the same concept. Building on top, surrounded by hobbit holes or tiny homes. I have no problem with the concept. I have lots of questions on implementation on this. There seem to be a lot of holes left in this. I've marked a few of them here. I'm going to move it over here just in case anybody's online would like to see it. They have it on a recording. And I will go over them as we go. Because my main question is just what's allowable for an acceptable variance, make an allowable exception here, I think. The applicant states that their mountain home would have no impact, whereas the report states that there's no strict application would deny any reasonable use. All of the reports are indicating that it's a minimal impact to the area. Nothing, it's like, and all of them are qualified that the mobile home area, that what they refer to as the 12 by 40, which in fact will be a 20 or a 22 by 50 when the 5 foot fill is included in. But no mention of getting this water and sewer pipes in, which would be running uphill through what I told anecdotally was once cleared land and now replanted. I tried contacting Dennis, but since it's a private firm that would be doing it, I couldn't get a straight answer as to how that's accomplished, whether they just bore underneath or whether they'd have to trench and remove all of the existing trees and shrubbery that's supporting the hillside. Since there's a 10-foot spacing on public property, which is the second street that would be coming up. I don't know if they're clearing a couple of 10-foot wide strip on that to get up and down with the sewer, which is like, if you have the property down there and property next to it is currently also for sale, do you then run more sewer pipes uphill on my neighbors farther down, or do you not plan for one sewer along the lower running downhill to Pacific Avenue for the residents if there's planning for additional variance application on the hillside? There's no indication for any kind of driveway or how they're going to actually get the manufactured home into the location, and what types of spaces that be. In the report, the auger drill borings on figure 4, figure 7, where the recommended site is, and figure 8 showing the slopes on the recommended site are in conflict with where Dennis says he's spoken with Bruce as to where the home would actually be, which is at the opposite end of the property. That's currently flattened, and since it's been flattened, it's already had a sinkhole show up and be refilled on it. Looking from corner of the property down towards 2nd Street, that cleared area seems to me, giving the benefit of the doubt, looks to be about 17 by 20 foot of cleared land. And in order to get any kind of space, it looks like there would have to be additional space cleared. The location, if I'm right, if I've been told correctly, and it is in fact at that cleared area on the northwestern end of the property line. That's also, if you look at the contour maps, rather than the proposed area in the center of the property, which is below the steepest zone, the new cleared area is immediately above the steepest slope. So, and the report mentioned there was a high liquefaction or moderate to high liquefaction below the sites, where it was a low liquefaction at the site. So they kind of rated it as a moderate. If you're shifting and now you've got the steepest slope with a low modification, there was something on page 5 about mass wasting, which I don't know what the term means. I'm just kind of curious. I have one of the neighbors mentioned that there was a house on the side of the hill that had slid down in the past. I've done some exploring. I found like one pipe that came up looking like somebody's outdoor faucet. I don't know whether that has anything to do with it or not. And as I said, the dimensions they keep referring, is it keeps mentioning it as like a 12 by 40. It would end up being, if it's a 5-foot fill on each side, I'm assuming you need a 22 by 50 foot space. I'd suggest looking at just exactly what 22 by 50 foot would have to clear in that area to get things going in there. Like I said, if it's done properly, I don't have a problem with it, but I see houses 2 blocks away on B Street or flattened land where they're putting mobile homes trailer in. They're getting these big Lego concrete blocks to support things. The Yellow Deli had put in massive supports for erosion. I've got anecdotal evidence that the hillside has a natural spring in it, so their suspected groundwater at river level is, to me, at best suspect. I believe I talked to Dennis a couple of weeks back about up 1st Street between A and B. I think the city and the PUD was looking at running water coming down to see if it was chlorinated or not. Apparently it wasn't a leak from the city, it was just natural groundwater welling up. So again, it's like there just seems to be a lot of holes and gaps that I had questions when I read through this report. So, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay, thank you much. You'd like to speak, sir?
Oh, Sure, I live on the other side of the hill. My name's Carl Doty. I live on A Street, just the opposite side of the hill from Bruce. And I also had Geotech come out and survey my property. And I got a little bit, pretty much the same results, but I have a little bit more land to work with. But I'm not looking to build, I'm just looking to put in some parking and a little golf cart so I can access my property from the back side, as it's getting real hard for me to get up those 34 stairs to my house as it is. But I have faith in the local contractors, Alan Ashby, and all the engineers I've worked with. And I've looked at the property and I don't see any real problem myself if I wanted to put that type of structure there. And unanswered questions and support. I mean, you gotta have faith in your engineers and your planners and your building inspectors. And those questions seem to me have already been answered.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. I had a question. I was under the impression this was gonna be a 10 wide. Not 12 wide, like,
10.
yeah, 10 by 40 according to what was in my
These
packet.
dimensions are a bit off.
Yeah,
And I'd like to add too, that the water and the sewer is coming down to First Street or to Pacific Street now.
Yeah, it's not coming down. And, you know, I own his property, which is 108 years old. And the gentleman before that cut out of the bank severely. I mean, not even close to what, you know, we're gonna cut, trim 8 feet maybe, and it's 108 years old. There hasn't been a problem with that, so. That's it.
I haven't had any problem with it for the 7 years I've owned it. Other than I can see why Norwegians build that way, because they live on fjords and lakes and everything they build on, go up and into the hill. It's not like it hasn't been done before.
And I'm Norwegian.
Huh?
Greg, was there something? you'd like to
It's 12
say?
by 40 on page 6, that's where I go.
I remember reading 12, I remember reading 10.
12 by 40.
That's on the geotech.
That might have been a clear area. If it's 10 by. 10 by 40.
It could also just be a scrivener's error from the geotech.
Well, I personally don't, not gonna go against the geotechs or any engineers, because I'm not a geotech, I'm not an engineer. I'm a retired lineman. Yeah. So that's my opinion, so. Unless there's a reason to. Anybody's got a reason to speak up, now's your time to do it. I'm talking about the board here.
I was a little confused on where the maps were kind of weird. And when I walked up and I walked back in where I thought they were gonna be placing the home, and I'm like, whoa, hold up, this is way too steep, but. When I talked to Danny, she said, no, the existing pad is where the place is gonna go, and that. I guess that's been cut for quite a while on there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have any issues with it. It seems like most everything has been addressed. The only thing I wanted to ask about was the sewer, his description of sewer, the sewer line going up. It's just gonna be,
No, it's coming down Pacific and heading out towards Third. So it'll be on the west side of Pacific and down to Third Street. His property right now is above Second Street in Pacific. So it'll come down in the right of way and head out in the right of way towards Third, and we'll intercept it in the manhole on Third.
it'll come down where?
So, sorry, the drawing that was drawn up had it coming from,
From the top.
Yeah.
and that's probably what you guys also.
Okay,
Yeah, originally, yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
It's changed now, it's coming down on the Pacific.
it's coming straight down.
Yeah. And then-
It won't disturb. the
And then
property.
that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
same with water too.
Same for water. Okay.
Well, that'd eliminate the problem of having a pump and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes, it sounded odd when you have to pump it uphill. You know, water naturally runs down, not up. So I like that a lot.
Plus it answers the question if someone else wanted to
Right,
do the same thing with the property for
Correct.
sale next to it, that'll do the same.
yeah, there'll be a main line going down.
Okay. And I did have the concern too, I mean, I know whenever you move something in, it takes room. So what's it gonna disturb getting the trailer up to the property? Is that gonna disturb any habitat?
There's a,
It's already there. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it was wide enough. I saw the road, but I didn't know if it was wide enough to get it up there.
They're pretty good at what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more comments? Public or anybody? Well, according to the city's recommendation, they recommend to approve the variance. So all in favor of approval, say aye.
I
Opposed?
I muted Justin.
What is it, question?
No, I don't think so. I heard him say aye. Thank you.
Is he gonna walk and talk?
No, he's on his phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very good.
All righty.
Any other business to come before this board?
Thank you all for your time and energy and everything.
Time to get out and enjoy that sunlight.
Even if we have it,
During the meeting at
5:47?
5:47.
And not even an hour ago, it was alongside with you.
I know.